Mr. Christie, that's the best that you're supporting with the best of that case I can see us
Really?
Yeah, Ray. Begins with an A.
It's just a shell.
That's okay.
You're taking everything we could get out
All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the Clark County Board of Education for September 17th, 2013. I'd like to thank everyone who has come out to our meeting to discuss matters pertaining to education in our county. I'd like to have everyone stand and observe a moment of silence. And the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. First item of business is the adoption of the agenda. Does anyone have any changes or comments? If not, a motion is in order to approve the agenda as written.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as written.
Motion by Dr. Griffith.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. McGowan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item is approval of minutes for the June 10th, 2013 special meeting, August 20th, 2013 tax hearing, and the August 20th, 2013 regular meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review those minutes? Any comments or suggestions?
The ones for June 10th are not accurate.
Okay. What suggestions would you like to make, Ms. Fix?
Do you have time?
Sure.
Okay. Under adoption of agenda, item number 171, a sentence needs to be added. Based on the July 26, 2013 OAG ruling, Mr. McGowan's aye vote was in violation of the Open Meeting Act. Number 172, the same verbiage following that motion. Item 173, the same verbiage following that motion.
There is no item 172. Mr. McGowan made that motion, but because he was participating by telephone, we did not consider that motion to be valid.
Okay, but if the minutes are to reflect what happened at the meeting, should that motion not also be entered with the clarification following?
The motion, when you read the Attorney General's opinion, it says that the any motions or votes that Mr. McGowan would have taken would have been valid.
Okay.
So, therefore, these minutes were written to reflect that. Mr. McGowan's votes would not be considered with the majority. That's what that opinion says.
Okay. Well, no, that's not really what the opinion says. The opinion does not address the minutes. The minutes should address...
Minutes should address what happened.
Right, the minutes should address...
However, the minutes also have to reflect the legalities of what happened, and you filed a complaint with the Attorney General's office. The Attorney General took time to write an opinion regarding the facts surrounding this case.
Yes. And
I think that these minutes as offered reflect those, that ruling.
with due respect, I think they do not.
Okay. Well, I'll ask Mr. Rosenthal. I think we need to sit down and we're going to need to hammer out a copy of the minutes that is agreeable to everybody. So I think Mr. Rosenthal,
So we're gonna pass it
Hicks,
again?
and myself need to sit down and write something that we can all live with.
That's fine.
Okay? All right, so we will remove the approval of minutes for June 10th, 2013 special meeting. That leaves the August 20th, 2013 tax hearing and the August 20th, 2013 regular meeting to be approved. Anybody have any comments, suggestions, additions, or subtractions from those? If not, a motion is in order to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. McGowan,
I'll second it.
second by Dr. Griffith. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay. Mr. Christie, the end is your student and staff recognition.
None at this time. We've had some conversations with principals, and we're talking about some other venues, also recognizing students other than just in the board meeting. We're looking at some other activities and other events through the school where we can recognize those too. So we'll be coming back with some or some suggestions next month as to your approval.
Okay. Public comments? Ms. Shanda Crosby. Only one speaker. The speaker is Ms. Crosby.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Shanda Crosby. I'm the Smoke Signals newspaper advisor, journalism teacher at GRC, a site-based council member, and a blessed teacher who gets to learn every day from awesome teenagers. Thank you, Mr. Christie, Mr. Kudak, Dr. Kudak, and everyone for letting me speak. I've written it down so that I won't go on and on, because I have a tendency to ramble when I don't have it written down. So I just want you to know that there's some really amazing things going on at GRC. There's a new spirit there this year. We've added a lot of programs that are truly positive for students and truly in line with the college and career ready mission that we have set forth. The EKU Now program is in full swing. About 34 students, I think, are taking advantage of the opportunity to get a head start on college and traveling to EKU's campus twice a week to take classes with college students. And that's amazing. We have a college-ish schedule that we've implemented this year that gives students options, and it's pretty creative. We've had some bumps in the road, but we're working through them, and overall it's very positive. We have something called iTime that allows students to take high-interest courses, non-academic high-interest courses, and it keeps their interest in school high. We have something called Connections that allows every student to pass through GRC with at least one adult who connects with them in a personal way. And we're actually putting together a publication right now to be distributed at open house on Thursday. And the reason I had the idea to come and do this is because when I sit back and watch the students work and see what, I kind of have the opportunity to have just my finger on the pulse of what students are feeling and thinking. And here's some of the comments that my reporters, they're not my reporters, GRC's reporters, gathered in preparation for this issue. In the EKU Now story, these are comments from students. I wanted to challenge myself on a more advanced level. It gives me a head start on college. When we are at EKU, we are college students, just like everybody else. Student comments on iTime. We get the opportunity to do something not academic, but still learn about something that interests us. Students need that space in their week when they can breathe. iTime is the catalyst for students to be engaged in something enjoyable and therefore be more energized to invest in core classes. Student comments on Connections. School isn't solely about academics. It's about providing an environment that allows students to grow, especially maturity. And Connections is the perfect next step to truly help students do so. Students will always be faced with problems they feel they can't handle, and that's exactly what Connections is for. It not only gives them an adult they know they can always rely on, but a whole group of fellow students to support them as well. And then a student who is not, she's extremely shy and really was in a shell coming in as a freshman, very, very scared to start high school, said this. We couldn't get much out of her, but we did get her to say this. Connections is a place I look forward to going each week. So there's a lot of positives going on. And I understand your position and your financial constraints, but we have a glaring omission at GRC, and it's a missing link. And I know the facilities plan is coming up for discussion at some point soon, and on behalf of the students at GRC, I urge you to seriously consider prioritizing GRC's total campus in that plan. We are the only school in the county that every public school student will attend. First and foremost, we need a facility where we can gather as a whole body and perpetuate the new spirit of excitement about school that is already in place at GRC. The attitude this year is truly different. Students are invested at a higher level. A venue to have pep rallies and assemblies would perpetuate and encourage the positive wave that we're riding in our beautiful new facility. It would give us a gathering place to celebrate our successes and draw together as a body. I implore you to prioritize GRC's total campus so we can achieve a new level of unity that would certainly benefit the entire community over a long term. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Crosby. Next item is Superintendent's Report.
Okay, we've got just a few updates here. First off, I'd like to mention that Providence Elementary School, Concrete Middle School, George Rogers Park High School, Ms. Kim Kerr, Coach Scott Humphrey were all recipients of the 2013 Reader's Choice Best of Winchester and Clark County Awards. I have a plaque that I'll give to take back for those on behalf of each of those to the school. On September 27th, we'll be running an ad in the Winchester Sun on behalf of the board and the district to thank the community and the citizens for their votes and their support of these people. We're proud of all those places and all those folks also. Mentioned today that all sophomores participated in the plan exam while freshmen worked on the practice plan. On Thursday, all 8th graders will participate in the Explorer exam while all 7th graders are participating in the practice Explorer exam. K-Prep data has been released. It's still embargoed, so we're not able to share anything tonight. It's embargoed until the 23rd of this month, so we'll be coming back with that information, be getting some things out to you as soon as we possibly can. I will tell you that the administrators, we've already met with administrators, we're already looking at that data and already beginning to break it down and analyze what we have, so we'll get that information to you as soon as we're allowed to do so. The Brigance kindergarten readiness is complete, and the data is now being entered into the Brigance database. On September 12th and 13th, all of our elementary principals and Ms. Thompson, our Concrete Middle School principal, attended the Next Generation Leadership Academy. That was a 2-day event. We looked at some programs, and that group went, and I think the year before, the reason it was just this group, year before some of the others attended, so this is the remaining group. It completes everybody, I think, that attended that. 2 days of I thought, very intense training and some really neat and progressive things we looked at Reynoldsburg School and Metro, which are both in the Columbus area, doing some very, very innovative things. And I'd like to say probably beyond that, having the 2 days with the group of principals just to talk about the district in general was time well spent for, I know for me, and I hope it was for them. So we were able to discuss a lot of other things that are going on here in the district that maybe as a group it's very difficult to find the time and the place and to get away for that period of time to do that. So it was a very, very productive 2 days, I felt like. On the 19th and 20th, which is Thursday and Friday of this week, I'll be leaving to go to Louisville to the KASA's new superintendent training, which I anticipate will be some more very intense conversations with some experienced, both experienced and all of the new superintendents across the state. Some of the things we're going to be focused on there that we're already working on and that we'll be discussing in more depth when we get there is the unbridled learning, the IOP rubrics, communications with leadership, principal effectiveness, school culture, school finance and management. So that's some of the subjects that we'll be touching on. And kind of like some of the other conferences, once they get you there, it's 8 or 9 o'clock at night before they let you go. So once they get their hands on you, they'll keep you busy on it for a couple of days. I think that's about all I have as far as the district updates, unless there's anybody, if you have any questions about anything.
Do we have results of what the final 5-day enrollment numbers were and how that what staffing changes that resulted in?
Yes, we do, and I can tell you right off that it did result in, Greg, correct me if I missed anything, it resulted in the additional kindergarten teacher and aide at Justice. It resulted in an additional teacher at Trapp and Pilot View.
Is that sharing the schools or a separate
That's
teacher? in each
separate each
one?
one. They both had the enrollment to justify the 6 staff members, so what they're filling, they used their staff to fill the teaching roles, and now they're in the meantime of filling the counselor position. Moved them over to do that and sharing there. And Anna McClure, we had an additional primary teacher that I think will be doing a first grade, second grade. And I'll get you I'll get an email out tomorrow to all of you that has the exact numbers for all the school. I apologize for not sending that yet. I'll get you an email that's got all the exact numbers for the 5th day.
Okay. State updates. Dr. Holliday's office sent out a press release today. Apparently the state test results were good, even though we don't know ours yet here locally. But in terms of the state, the Department of Education seemed quite pleased with the results. So I guess we'll all find out next week. But
If he's sharing anything more than that, he's sharing more than he's supposed to.
he probably did. From what I was
I will tell you, and this was released, that something that I thought was, that we did discuss at one of the other sessions where at the superintendent summit that I attended, and Dr. Holliday spoke, that, and I think it has been formally announced since that day, that Kentucky, this year, Kentucky's graduation rate and their career and college readiness rate is the highest it's ever been in the history.
Yes.
That's great.
And some of the highest in the nation, according to the
Yes,
article.
some of the highest, yes. We're getting there.
Next item, I kind of skipped down. That was item number 5, state district update. So let's go back up to item number 3, first month attendance update. Mr. Holland.
I didn't want to jump the gun. I was going to say this. Also, we wanted to say, and before we get rolling with this, while he's putting that up there, tomorrow is our high attendance day. So that's a statewide initiative. All of our schools have an opportunity to compete, and we're going to have several schools. Basically, we can have 4 winners come out of Clark County because of the lower attendance elementaries, the higher attendance elementaries as far as the numbers go, those enrollments, the middle school and the high school. So we could actually have 4 winners come out of Clark County, and those 4 winners could be the winners across the state. So we'll have that competition tomorrow, and we'll see who our district winners in. We'll submit those, and we'll see how that shakes out for the state. So good luck, Clark County, and to our schools.
Mr. Rose was campaigning on his school website, I noticed.
Anybody that's in the office tomorrow, do we need to put them in the car and drive them?
I think so. That's exactly right. With
We'll come pick them up.
yeah. With that, we have our first month attendance. We were up this year for the first month over last year, 96.27 compared to 96.25. Sounds like radio stations. Our first month's winner goes to Pilot View with 98.74. So they're flying the flag, and they have the banner and that sort of thing. So congratulations to Pilot View. If you take a look, the biggest jump through there, congratulations to Phoenix Academy. They went from 79.26 to 90.89. So congratulations to them as well. And with that, does anyone have any questions?
Thank you. I noticed that about the Phoenix Academy. That's very,
That's
very good.
tremendous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Next item is number 4, technology department update. Mr. Napier.
Well, I'm Michael Napier, and I'm here to address actually five points of technology. The first order is the technology ordered yet not delivered, and specifically I'm going to address Justice and GRC. As far as with Justice, all the technology that has been ordered has been delivered and installed. GRC, we are actually today, as a matter of fact, we had 13 classroom projector screens that were delivered, and installation will begin tomorrow. And there are a total of 60 iPads that have been ordered. They were ordered back on 9/11. I'm looking probably the next week to get those orders in. The second one is the technology yet to be ordered. Currently, Justice does not have any technology needs that we've not met yet and not ordered. GRC, on the other hand, has projectors for the auditorium that we need to order, and also for the library. Now, the reason for the delay on this is because it's an engineering and architect situation where projectors that were supposed to have been installed were not the correct size, and also the installation of those projectors were not in the correct spot. So we had a meeting with MCPC that a couple weeks ago that gave us some options on what we could do. So hopefully we'll have those ready within the next 2 to 3 weeks. But there are some delays with that. There is also a multi-purpose room at GRC that has 3 projectors in it. Mr. Bolin had projected or had suggested maybe having 1 projector shine on an adjacent wall as opposed to the 3, but in looking at it a little further, we found that wasn't going to be the best fit. So the multi-purpose room has 3 projectors. We're waiting on ordering some screens to go in there to get that functional. Item number 3 that I'm to discuss is the reason for the internet glitches. Now, I found out when Jeff Sabowski left that he had difficult shoes to fill. And all of a sudden, when the internet was not working, those shoes became mine. So, but needless to say, this was not something that was unique to Clark County. This was a statewide problem. And thank goodness that we had updates from KDE, specifically from Phil Coleman, who is the Director of Divisions and Operations, and also from Damon Jackie, who is from the Office of Knowledge, Information, and Data Services. They kept our department abreast of exactly what was going on. To put it in layman's terms, there were a cyber attack that came that they had to shut a portion of the state systems down, which diverted the traffic over to another switch, which overloaded it. Those started on actually August the 27th at approximately 10:30 p.m. or a.m. and they continued all the way through 9/11. They are still getting those cyber attacks. However, they're not as fierce as they were in the beginning. So what we experienced were glitches, and unfortunately, we had new construction at GRC, and a lot of that was. A lot of that had to do with those glitches. However, there was some balancing of what we call access points at GRC. The balancing access points meant that those routers give a signal to the access points, which is in every classroom, and they have to balance themselves out to how much traffic's coming through. And unfortunately, what we were getting was the internet was going down, and those balancing acts, if you will, wasn't balancing themselves out. So they'd have to reset, and then when it would come back up, unfortunately, the process was in such a way that one classroom was getting signal, another classroom was not. And then that classroom that was not was trying to find the signal. So there was intermediate in and out. But I've been assured that GRC is at 100% capacity, and hopefully the wireless network has worked itself out. We are in the process right now of wiring most of the labs, and we've done that. So item number 4, is the technology funding already spent at both Justice and JRC. Now, I've provided a breakdown of each school, and I believe you all have a copy of that. If not, it's one up on the board. We'll start with George Rogers Clark. And as you can see, the major expense for George Rogers Clark is the infrastructure. And the graph actually shows the money that was actually spent out of the construction budget. And they started with a $1.375 million budget. The allocations that was spent was $1.293 million, and which was a remaining balance of $81,000. Now, down to according to the graph, this is a breakdown of what has been spent. Projectors, there was 110 projectors that was bought for $92,000. Document cameras, over $51,000. Staff computers at $142,000. Student computers, $209,000. Student iPads, a total of 60. Those are the ones that yet to come in. That's $27,000. Now, the big one, as you see, is the one for infrastructure, which is $669,000, almost $670,000. That one has a lot of components that go with it. And from my understanding, when this project was brought forth, the technology department, along with the administration, decided to put into that building state-of-the-art equipment. And I am fully confident that the equipment that was put into that building will last this district for at least 10 years. Now, that might not seem like a long time for that amount of money. However, when you look at technology and how rapidly it changes, I've also talked to Jamin Jackie of KDE, and he's assured me as well what we have in place is the state-of-the-art equipment. So, in breaking that down with the infrastructure, there's actually 4 components that come with that, which are the wired network, the wireless network, the network insulation, the UPS, which stands for the uninterrupted power supplies, and then the phone system. Now, all those components add together equate to the $670,000. Now, with the student computers and the staff computers, there was also licensing that come along with that. That was also included within that graph. So, any questions on GRCs before I go to Justice? Okay, the next one is Justice. Total budget was, for Justice, for technology, was 0. That figure, actually I met with Mr. Christie. We actually went over and discussed exactly where that money came from, and that money was actually deferred over to the contingency. Now, with the technology that we've put in there, it comes out to be almost $330,000, and once again, there's a breakdown on exactly what is spent and what it was spent for.
The BG1 for Justice showed amounts for the technology. So why would it be 0?
The original ones did. If you go back and look at your revised, the latest revised one, it's zeroed out. All that money was put in the contingency fund.
Okay. So we used it
Early
for
on, there was a
contingency.
line item there
Okay.
about.
Because it had a KITS amount and equipment,
But
technology
if
and
you recall, the
computers.
bidding process for the Justice
Yes.
with everything that had to be, that got changed.
Okay.
And it ended up at a 0 line item for the last BG1 that we did. And it was all kind of rolled over into the contingency part.
Well, those are the items I have. If there's any more questions,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Student Learning and Instructional Services, next item is item number 6, recognition of National Gear Up Week. Ms. Whitesides.
Thank you for allowing me to speak to you this evening. I thought the board should know that next week is National Gear Up Week, since Clark Middle, Conkright, and GRC, all three of our secondary schools are participating in Gear Up. And Gear Up stands for Gaining Early Awareness and Readiness for Undergraduate Programs. And this is a college access program providing students and families the support and resources they need for college success, especially those students who would be first-generation college goers. And so next week, we have some Gear Up activities planned, and I wanted the board to be aware of these, and also you are invited to any and all of these. On Monday, September 23rd, Mayor Ed Bertner and County Judge Executive Henry Branham will be doing a proclamation signing at 10 a.m. on Monday morning at the mayor's office. And we will be taking some of our Clark Middle students down to that signing. We also will have a kickoff with our Gear Up staff from the Kentucky Gear Up program. Omari Gletton and Vince Bingham will be with our students, and they will be doing a kickoff at Clark Middle. On Tuesday, we have Mike Kindred, the principal of the Clark County Area Technology Center. He will be coming over and speaking to our students. On Wednesday, we would invite you to, at 2:30, we have Coleman Eldridge. And I don't know how many people know who Coleman Eldridge is, but he is a well-known motivational speaker whose message inspires young people to work hard in school and be actively involved in their communities. He has been very involved in campaigns throughout Kentucky, and his mother actually started him in campaigning in San Antonio, Texas. When he was a youngster, he was campaigning for Mayor Henry Cisneros in San Antonio, and then he has been involved in Governor Beshear's campaigns. He's been involved in Ben Chandler's, John Yarmouth, and Lexington Mayor Jim Gray. And he is the first African-American president of the College Democrats of Kentucky, as well as the first African-American national committeeman for the Kentucky Young Democrats. He is now serving as the executive assistant to Kentucky Governor Stephen Beshear, and he will be with our students speaking to our 7th and 8th graders on Wednesday at 2:30. On Thursday, our college and career advisors, both ours and Conkright's, I think, will be involved in ILP training, of which all students have to develop their ILPs in the 6th grade and continue those on through the 12th grade. And then finally on Friday, we have the Berea College admissions counselor with us. I wanted you to be aware of that and be invited and know that college and career readiness is alive and well throughout our district, as you've already heard this evening with both GRC and Conkright and Clark Middle. We are having different conversations with our students. They know all about the Explore test and how important it is, and they are geared up for it on Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Whitesides. Next item is item number 7, overview of the spring 2013 ACT junior results and spring AP results. Mr. Bowler.
Hey, good evening. Glad to be here tonight to talk to you about our ACT. I think we briefly talked about it earlier before, but we have that as well as the AP. When you look at the 5-year trend for the ACT, even though there were some higher points back, I guess, in 2009, if you take a look and look across the bottom at 2013, the most notable thing comes out is the composite. We actually went from an 18.4 to a 19.2, which is actually the state average composite this year on the ACT. Most importantly to me, when you look at math, and math is an area that we typically struggle in, we actually surpassed the state average this year. We had a 19.1 by 2/10 to the 18.9. We had some tremendous gains in science. We jumped the composite, individual science composite by a point, and almost reading by 9/10. So it was a good year for the ACT. I think it's indicative of a lot of the work that's been taking place at the high school, the focus on college and career readiness. So, I think a lot of the interventions that's been taking place over the last 3 years there are showing their worth right now. If you look here at the subgroups there, we'll look at the subgroup 1. Let's just go with that one. When we look at this, we're well pleased with it. There is one area that still sticks out that we still struggle with, and we are working with. If you look at the second bullet there, students whose race, ethnicity is identified as white scored an average composite of 19.7 compared to 18.7 in 2011-12. However, we're still struggling with black African Americans. That score remained the same with a 15.9. So we know there's some work to do within the subgroups on the ACT, and we are focused on that. I mean, we're trying to address some of those issues now as a whole.
What's the nature of that focus, Mr. Baldwin?
Targeted interventions. Right now, part of our schedule, I know our schedule is extremely confusing if you're not actually in the building, but typically in the past when we've done interventions, we were pulling from all different periods across the throughout the day. This year, it's limited to the second block on Tuesday. That's the only time we pull for interventions. That class is a block class. It's about roughly 120 minutes long. Kids are consistent in that class for 30 minutes, and they could be pulled up to 2 different interventions within that class. So targeted interventions is mainly what we're trying to address that gap with. If you look at the AP, I can't say enough about what's transpired with AP at GRC, particularly with the Advanced Kentucky Grant. When GRC entered into that grant or that program, all barriers were dropped for entry. No longer could there be a prerequisite class to take AP. I think a lot of people were concerned about what would happen to the AP program with that, but I think when you look at what we have done or what the school has done as a whole, it's quite the opposite. This year we had 405 qualifying scores on that test. People got credit, so something really to brag about. Last year we had 887 enrollments. I'm happy to say this year we are up to 997 enrollments. We have 41 different sections of AP taking place throughout the school. And we offer 21, right now we're offering 21 different classes. If you take just a quick glance at this right here, if you look down some of the noble ones, European history, you had 39 of 61 kids get a qualifying score. Human geography, 14 out of 15. The ones I guess really stand out, obviously, you get down in calculus, and I'll say Mr. Parks' name again, 93 of 94. That's almost a given. But when you look into the sciences, these are areas that we have traditionally lagged in and have not performed. I see biology is 11 of 20, and I'm pretty sure there's never been more than 1 or 2 kids pass the biology one, and I don't know that anybody, I think 1 kid had passed chemistry. This past year we had 10 out of 25 in that. So there's a lot of work goes into that, and I think when you get into AP, a lot of it's about the rigor and the relevance, preparing the kids. And you understand, I guess, when we talk about this, I'm thankful for the board last year for doing the continuation of that grant this year. I think you will see even more positive numbers next year as the program continues. What I have required of the teachers is every teacher that teaches AP does tutor during the week. Anytime a kid needs tutoring, they can go to that teacher. If you look at just at the AP, the 5-year trend here for AP, when I look down through it, if you look across the total number of students, we're moving the number of students up. The number of exams is going up, as well as the percent of total AP students. We had 59% pass rate last year, which is pretty remarkable.
Physics is a class, right?
Yes. Physics was, I think, I'm not sure. I know I looked on here, and a couple of them weren't listed on here. I have inadvertently left off French and Spanish. I know physics was on there. Physics was pretty close. I think it was about a 90% pass rate. They did really well. Had actually 2 different physics A and B, and there's a physics C. And I think it's maybe mechanical, I believe. When you look at the subgroups again on AP, we still have some issues there. I mean, trying to get that taken care of. you know, when I look down there, I guess 92 exams were taken by students who received free or reduced lunch, and had 50 qualifiers. Of our 406, only 50 fell into that category. Ethnicity played a role too, at 69, I think 69 exams there. So we do have some work within those subgroups as a whole to improve the AP as well.
You know, percentage-wise, the free and reduced lunch percentage was about the same as the non-free and reduced.
Yes, it was. There's a lot of subsidy, as far as subsidies too, and I know, I'm not sure how familiar you are with the, you know, the continuation funding that you gave us this year, but a lot of that goes to offset the fees that the kids have to pay to take these tests. So that's, I think, offset by about $50 a test. And where do we go from here? You know, as I told you earlier, we're looking at it's mandated now all teachers, in which I think last year we only had one teacher that wasn't doing tutoring. So this year it's kind of made sure that everybody knew that you had a tutor for AP. But a lot of the teachers work, you know, they're there with the kids before and after school, even during their planning periods. Anytime a kid needs help, they just drop in. The teachers are more than welcome to do it. Again, we're really concentrating a lot on the STEM right now, STEM classes, trying to bolster up AP as well as ACT. We did the plan test today, and I think we had really good attendance. We only had 20 kids absent of 10th grade. So it was a good day for us for that. 9th grade had like 21 absent. And then the juniors did a practice called the CERT. It's a new version of Practice ACT. I think we had about 25 out in there. So kids pretty much understand those exams, and they know the significance to them. So I think they really take these serious.
Did Spirit Week affect anything on testing?
I don't think so. I don't believe it did anyway.
You said that they are doing tutoring, so that extra planning on the Tuesdays and Thursdays, is that part of the tutoring, or is that just something extra?
Some of them are.
Okay.
It just depends on, and I know Mrs. Considine mentioned, or not Considine, but Ms. Crosby mentioned earlier, she was talking a little bit about eye time. And I know when I went through the building the other day, and I was sometimes you kind of wonder about the changes, because we've instituted a lot of changes at the high school. And sometimes you kind of question yourself, but when I actually spent some time and went down the hallways and I saw a class out that had robots, doing robotics they had built, they were playing with them, I call playing with them, but they were programming them in the hallway. And then I go on down to another class, and the kids are all engaged on the Macs and doing graphic arts. And then they go on down, and there's another group of kids that I think there were like 65 kids piled in a class with Mr. Sizemore doing extra AP Euro time. So it's pretty successful, I think.
Okay. Any other questions, Mr. Bowman? All right, thank you. Next up, item number 8, overview of...
Good job.
Next up is item number 8, overview of TEL survey results. Ms. Considine.
Good evening. I'd like to share the 2013 TEL survey results with you, but if we can go ahead and get started, Chris, if you want to go down one. Let's go back a little bit and figure out, for some of us may be new on the board, what TEL means. When we have any type of business or organization, it's really important to know what drives the employees with their satisfaction and their productivity, and schools aren't any different. So there was a lot of research a couple years ago looking at, do teachers really affect student achievement and facilities and all of that resources. So they decided to document and analyze how teachers and principals view their teaching and learning, and policymakers can then make decisions based on policies and practices that will help improve student achievement. Next. Probably one of those little things, don't I? Under the leadership of our current governor in the Department of Education with Dr. Holliday, they developed a coalition, and they came up with the new Teacher Center, and they created Teaching, Empowering, Leading, and Learning, which became the Kentucky TEL Survey. And that was to look at critical teaching and learning conditions and see if they're present in our schools across the state. So our first surveys were completed back in 2011, between March 1st and the 25th. And then the second iteration was this past year, March 1st through the 29th of 2013. And in the state, 80% of the Kentucky teachers participated in 2011, and it bumped up to 87% in participation this year. The results are always anonymous, and if you want to look at those results, you can go to tellkentucky.org. So what I would like to kind of look at what some of the questions and the topics. They look at community engagement and support, teacher leadership, school leadership, managing student conduct, our use of time, professional development, facilities and resources, and our instructional practices and support. And so then they came down with the constructs. And then we look at time, and is it available to plan? Do we collaborate and provide instruction? Do we eliminate those barriers so that we maximize our instructional time? Are our facilities available for technology, communication? Are they good school resources to teachers? The community support and involvement, and that's talking about community and parent-guardian communication. How do we manage our student conduct? Our teacher leadership, are we getting our teachers involved in the buildings and decisions? School leadership, the ability of that school leadership to create those trusting, supporting environments. Our professional development, is it quality and is it enhanced the teacher's teaching? And the instructional practices and support, all that data and the support that helps them make the instruction available to the students, and we see high student achievement. And so how did Clark County do? Well, in 2011, we had an 83.77 participation rate. We were higher than the state. This year, we dipped a little lower than the state. We were at 81.69, while the state was 86.66. So if we look at those descriptors, and I'm going to go ahead and clarify the red, by Kentucky Tell people, they feel like that what is highlighted in red would be what our school board members would like to focus, school governance as policymakers. So with time, one thing that we would like to look at is class sizes. Are they reasonable so that teachers have the time available to meet the needs of all students? And in 2011, only 35% of our teachers either agreed or strongly agreed with that. In 2013, half of our teachers that participated said that they felt like that class sizes were reasonable. Now, I'm not going to read through all of those, but if you can look, it looks like we are on the right track from 2011 with our perception from our staff is that we are heading in the right direction with time. And are we maximizing it in the classroom and in the building? We still are going to be, it looks like we're lower than the state, so that's something we need to work on. Remove those barriers. We got the next one, Chris. For facilities and resources, what they felt was important to our school board members would be teachers that have access to reliable communication, like technology, including phones, faxes, and email, so that they are getting the communication that they need from the Department of Education and from the local school board. 89% in 2013, which is lower than in 2011. We were at 92%, still below the state average. So we need to probably check on some of that communication, make sure that we're getting out there to them.
Well, with the new technology that we just had a report on.
It should be 100% in, what, 20?
I think the descriptor says reliable for some teachers.
Reliable?
Reliable.
Reliable is a
Yes,
big
the
one.
key.
And
Yeah.
you know, sometimes it is not at the Clark County level, as we learned, it was at KDE, and we were very frustrated because we kept thinking it was us. And so, you know, we have to realize that it's not just here. We are in that big picture from the Department of Education. So for community support and involvement, the school maintains clear two-way communication with the community. And in 2011, it was at 76%, and in 2013, it was at 88.5%, and we were higher than the state. I know communication has been a focus, and I think one call has been a big bonus to that in how we share our information. Next, please. Managing student conduct. Policies and procedures about student conduct are clearly understood by the faculty. And in 2011, it was only 64%, and in 2013, it jumped to 84%, just a little bit lower than the state.
Is that why they singled that one out in red? Because to me, that's a big improvement.
Well, no, the ones in red, they felt like would be something that board members would really want to focus on. And that was the Tell Kentucky people. Of course, all of them are important, but as policymakers, what would be, you can't focus on everything, so if you look at maybe one. So, Chris? For teacher leadership, and we're always trying to build teacher leaders within our school communities, teachers are relied upon to make decisions about educational issues. And that was another big jump from 63% in 2011 to 82% in 2013, and right just below the state. In school leadership, there is an atmosphere of trust and mutual respect in this school. In 2011, it's kind of an alarming at 50%. And then in 2013, we were at 73%, just a little bit below the state. So I feel like that, teachers have to trust their administration, and that was a big part. So we worked on that. Next. Professional development, and that's going to hit us every time. I'll just be honest with you. Sufficient resources are available for professional development in my school. In 2011, it's at 50%, and in 2013, we only went to 69. We're still below the state average. That is something that we are constantly working on as a district, is how do we get the right professional development for our teachers, and then we provide the resources and the follow-up. And that is going to be an ongoing challenge from the Department of Curriculum Instruction. I will promise you that. We tried to make it more personalized this year. We know that professional development, one size does not fit all. And so that is one of our goals, is to make it personal. What do you need? How can we provide that for you? So we will continue to work on that, and you see that is a huge area. It's a huge descriptor for us, because how do our teachers grow? Through professional development. And so that is something that we will definitely be working on.
You mentioned follow-up, and it was only in one part that I even saw a mention of follow-up, but
Yeah.
I know
But it
I
is
hear that
very
all the time from
important.
the teachers, is that, we do all this, and then there's never any follow-up.
Yes. And how do we evaluate? Did it work?
Right.
And so it didn't really show up in the TEL survey that it was I guess something for them, but at our level it is important to us, because if we don't follow up and we don't mentor and monitor and see, then how do we know if it's working? And if it's not working, what are we going to do to help? So definitely follow
So we're
up.
putting things into place.
Hopefully, yes. That's on my list.
Okay.
Next.
If you look one down, but I can add in there, you look at some of the things that kind of lends to that. When you look at professional development offerings are data-driven,
Right.
we're at 85.6.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
You look at they're aligned with the school's improvement plan. You've got high numbers there, so that, to me, says at least, we're looking at the right things and using them in the right way.
And you want your professional development to be based on your data. And we, as the district, we are heavy on data, and we know. But then, are we giving them the resources after they've had the professional development to make it work in their building? So that's a focus. On instructional practices and support, provided supports like instructional coaching, professional learning communities, which would translate to improvements in instructional practices by teachers. And we were at 71% in 2011, and we're at 84% in 2013. We did a lot. All the schools had their own professional learning communities. We try to have staff from this office attend some of those, especially if we're asked. We try to send support out. So I think we've done a good job in those instructional practices and support. All right, overall, my school is a good place to work and learn. We were at 72% in 2011, and we were at 85.2% in 2013, and that is at the state level, at their average as well. And then, this was a nice little question. At this school, we utilized the results from the 2011 TEL survey as a tool for school improvement, and 78% said they did. And that's good, because that's what we want. We want to survey, we want to then improve the teaching conditions. So what does that mean for us? Well, before it rolls around in 2 years, again, I hope that we continue to focus on the TEL survey, and we did share with principals. It's just a little gentle reminder. Don't forget it, guys. Bring it out, especially when you're getting ready to work on your school improvement plans. It should drive some of your activities, and make sure that, it's not on a shelf, that it is the living document.
Were there any surprises that you found in going through some things that you thought, I thought we would do a whole lot better this time?
No. And even professional development wasn't a surprise. It's just one of those that you're constantly working on, because we are trying to meet the needs of K through 12, well, actually preschool through 12th grade teachers, and everybody has a different need. And it's hard to get exactly what fits. And you try to do something for the masses, because for money, that's, it drives professional development. But we really did work hard this summer to try to make it more personalized, and small snippets, not a 6-hour training, but a 2-hour training that you could go and really get some good meat of, instructional practices. So hopefully that will pan out, but no big surprises, I don't think.
The decrease in the participation, do you feel that was from teacher turnover, or just...
No, I think it rolled around really quick this year.
Okay.
I think the first time it came out, there was a huge PR push from the commissioner. I think, honestly, this one snuck up on us.
Okay.
And it was here, and it was right before spring break, and we really didn't talk it up a lot in January and February, and we should have. And we need to make sure that teachers have access to technology that's working, that's online, that they can get in. And it's really good if staffs will do it as a group in a computer lab at a staff meeting. Sometimes I've been there as a teacher. It would probably be the last thing on my plate to do before I left for the day, and you just have to take time. So we'll work on that. Any other questions?
If anybody wants to look at the data in more detail, it's online. If you just Google telkentucky.org. This data is presented on the district level and also for each individual school, and that's good for every district and school in the state. So it's a lot of interesting information.
It is, and it's nice to go through, to look at individual school data too. We just did a whole picture tonight, so.
Right.
I'm just going to stay up here.
Yes. Item number 9, overview of Confucius Institute Chinese program.
Okay. We're just going to kind of do an overview tonight regarding our kind of, what would you call it, Patrice? Our endeavor with Confucius Institute. We started looking at or having talks with Confucius Institute back in May, and I know Ms. Thompson was the one who began that, and so we're just going to kind of give you an overview. I know you're going to have some questions, so we'll just kind of start. I'm not going to read all of this because this is Dr. Maskey's PowerPoint, and we just kind of wanted to share from you. This gives you the President's remark, talking about trying to build the friendship and the cooperation between China and the United States. And the Confucius Institute at UK is that link for the people of China and the citizens here in Kentucky. Chris? And so it talks about some of their outreach and how they're going to get it out. They have community outreach. They have a K-12 support, which we're kind of going to be in that blue bubble. Then you have the Center of UK's China initiatives and the statewide leadership in the K-12 enrichment. So their mission is to, like a Venn diagram, try to get all those bubbles together. And so hopefully we're going to be the blue bubble. We're going to help students develop Chinese language and culture study and promote that international exchange between the U.S. and China. So looking at the program that they offer, they assist schools in designing and planning the Chinese program, bringing the Chinese language teachers and jumpstart the Chinese language and the culture program in the building. And they assist schools to get some professional development for those Chinese teachers, and then conduct professional development workshops for teaching about China with their K-12 teachers. Oh gosh, that's tiny print. Let's look at the key benefits. The host schools can start or expand the Chinese language and the culture program at a reasonable cost. Students can learn authentic Chinese language and interact with the native Chinese instructor. And then what you're going to start doing is laying the foundation so that eventually you offer AP Chinese.
Did Mr. Parks teach that?
I don't know. We should see how his Chinese is. We might have to work on that. And then guest teachers can then assist in curriculum development and program expansion. Next. So their responsibility is they interview qualified teachers from China. They're going to pay all the expenses for the Chinese teachers, including a monthly stipend and health insurance. And then they're going to help them get their H3 visas, and they're going to place them in schools. They're going to work with the schools to observe them to make sure that they're on target. They're going to conduct some professional development workshops for them, and they're going to work with the schools to get those annual evaluations at the end of the what? No comment from the peanut gallery. All right, next. So what would be the hosting school's responsibility? Now, this is very important for us because this is what we would be willing to do. We would provide a mentor that would provide professional support to the Chinese teachers, and we would oversee the incoming Chinese teachers and help them adjust to our environment at the school and communicate with Confucius Institute. And then we would see to it that they get their appropriate teaching license. Now, that is something that takes time. And so when the Chinese teachers are placed in a school district, they are placed as volunteers. I knew that would be a question. Yes. And when we say provide a mentor, we mean that they are with a highly qualified teacher at all times until we receive their teaching license.
So do they have to have the same, do they have to meet the same certification standards?
That's what you go through the clearinghouse to determine if theirs is. Now, I will tell you, Confucius Institute vets them, and they are doing a super job at vetting them. So, but it is a process, and you have to work with the clearinghouse. And we do have a KDE person who is, because I will tell you, the Chinese programs are expanding in Central Kentucky phenomenally. I mean, we're probably one of the last districts to add one.
We actually had
We had one. I know we
We
did.
had one several years ago.
But I'm not sure if it was with Confucius Institute.
No, it was not.
Okay.
Okay, so anyhow, but Patrice and I spend a lot of time, and Scarlett, with surrounding counties that are working with Confucius Institute. And so it is put together better. I'll just say that. Look for appropriate housing for the Chinese teachers. So if anybody wants someone to have a live-in guest, just let me know. If the Chinese teachers live far away, we have to kind of make sure that they can get to and from school every day. And then some small miscellaneous expenses. The UKCI administrative fee,
How much is that?
it is free the first year, and that hook, $8,000 for the following year. And that would be for 2 teachers.
That's the total cost, or just the administrative fee?
Just the administrative fee. They pay them. That would be the board commitment for the next year. So as we look at this, and you begin to think of the 14-15 budget, if you feel it's worthwhile, then we would ask that you would budget the $8,000 for the Chinese program. And then,
So the 8,000 is not per teacher? It's
I don't think so.
The
It was
two
for-
combined?
it was for a,
No, I think it was per
is it per teacher? Do we need to find out?
I'm sure it's per
But it said for a
The guest teacher.
guest teacher.
A guest teacher and a master teacher come together. You could get 2 of those for $8,000, but every master teacher that you bring into the district would be $8,000.
Okay.
And the difference is a master teacher's been trained in China to teach English and has been teaching there under their, their guidelines, and they're just master teachers. A guest teacher is someone who's a college graduate in China who speaks English well and comes kind of in a mentoring role.
And in the last bullet, a designated mentor within the, and for some reason, Washington didn't finish this. And I have a feeling it was a designated mentor within the district who would probably be Brenda Considine. So,
So you're sure it's within the district, not just within
we're
each
not sure.
school? Or...
But, and I called Confucius Institute yesterday, and I have not received a phone call back from them. But I think
Actually, we have a mentor inside the school. I'm
Yes.
a teacher that I've connected as a mentor. As the principal, I'm the mentor.
But you need a
I
district.
think there's a district mentor too.
Any more questions so far about that? And then we get into the teacher responsibility, and that is meaning the Chinese teacher. So this is what they would have to do, and it's talking about making their arrangements and follow all the rules, and it seems like they have a lot more rules to follow than we do, but that's okay. And I'm not going to read all those to you, but it is a very well-run program, and I know Patrice has personal connections to Confucius Institute, and so that's how we kind of got connected, and I think it's a huge benefit for our county and our school system. And Patrice and I, we've spent a lot of time talking about it, and one way that we could possibly now utilize our Chinese teacher is to be able to offer our 4th and 5th grade gifted and talented students, since it's housed in the same building now as Patrice, some Chinese culture classes and some Chinese language classes as well. Because really you need to start at elementary school. Right, Beth?
Yes.
And we know that. But you also have to realize that you can start anywhere and build the program, and that's what we have found out, that in Woodford, and we have a great colleague in Woodford who's been very nice and shared a lot of information, and they have 10 this year, 10 Chinese teachers, and they're offering AP Chinese. So
He says they have $400,000 worth of teachers for $40,000. They built, I think they're probably into their 4th or 5th year, and they're ready to have AP Chinese in high school.
So we're starting small, but we would love to go to that scale. But it will take a little bit of commitment from our community and our schools and our board. So that's what we wanted to come and share with you tonight. Now, do we have another slide, Chris? Okay, any questions? And then this is how we can contact Dr. Maskey. But do we have our deadlines for our volunteers arriving is changing because of visas, and I know that there are a lot of, it's multiple districts. We have a lot of visas sitting there at the embassy waiting to get approved. Do we have a date yet?
No, not yet. Any day now. I mean, it's a matter of everything's in place. I think it's actually EPSB is now part of the letting something loose if they haven't yet. And then once they get that word in China, then it's a 2-hour turnaround to get them an appointment in the embassy. And once they go to the embassy, then they could be on the plane the next day. So they're ready to go. I might add, the state of Kentucky just released their world language standards, and it's going to be part of our program review, and absolutely where we need to go.
What other districts in the area are participating? You mentioned Woodford County.
Montgomery, because we've Jessamine. And Jessamine, and Fayette, of course.
Fayette doesn't actually work through Confucius, and I think they have a strong world language program. The school I came from, and at the middle school level, we had world language as a core class every day in French and Spanish and Chinese. But they don't go through the Confucius Institute. Dr. Maskey actually worked in the school I used to be in for a couple of years, built that program and built the AP, Chinese AP at the Tates Creek High School for the International Baccalaureate program. So she's a real quality person.
Did I understand correctly that gifted and, or elementary gifted and talented meets at GRC now?
Yes. No, it's Concord.
At Concord, yeah, I mean, GRC. Concord on Boone.
Concord on Boone.
Okay.
Yes. And that program, we should put that in district updates.
Yeah.
I apologize, that's my fault. It was located at Fanny Bush, and then it moved to Justice, and when we added an additional classroom, we moved our GT program to Concord.
Okay.
Justice meant a move, so
Okay.
it's located in the room, the old KTLM lab, just as you go down. the
Oh,
library.
excellent.
They'll have
Great location for
Right
that.
next to the name. Yeah, they're wonderful. They're wonderful.
And so we had fifth grade open house, and so they could come because they had been in the program last year, and the parents were very excited about. I was afraid there would be some apprehension about being in middle school, and no, because they said, "Gosh, it's going to get them ready. It's going to get them that middle school feel, but yet still, pretty
Contained unit.
in their contained
They
units."
do
So.
have a separate entrance and exit where they're coming in from not coming up through the main part of the building, coming right outside the door there.
So this is their second week there. So, yeah, so that will incorporate, that works well with sharing the resources now. So, say thanks to Patrice for letting us come to her building.
Any other questions? I think if somebody is able to be bilingual in both Chinese and English, the career opportunities are outstanding right now.
Outstanding. Mhm.
Okay, thank you. All right, move on to student support services. Item number 10, consider and approve indirect cost rate for 24 students. Amos.
Yes. Well, around this time of year, we need to think about approving the indirect cost rate that was given to us by KDE. And all this does is allow us, if we want to charge some of our grants, indirect costs. In the past years, we've only charged our MOA grants that we get from KDE, so we don't interrupt our student services or anything, our staff services that way. But unless we approve it tonight, we can't charge it all year long, so that's why it's in front of me tonight.
What's the difference between the direct and the indirect rates again?
The indirect,
I'm sorry, not the direct.
restricted and
Restricted and non-restricted.
non-restricted is only charged to food service, and restricted is charged to federal grants. That's just how we kind of recoup. We do payroll and accounts payable and those kind of business functions, hiring through our human resource department, and it's how we kind of recoup some of that money. Numbers are taken from our actual numbers from this year from our 11-12 AFR, and it's just administrative cost as a percentage of our total cost, and that's how they figure it.
So, Mama Gina, thank you for sending me that, and I read and reread after I had read and reread this, and I still don't get, under the application of rates part, those three, are we approving either 1, 2, or 3? Or all of it, or to be used, whichever applies to which grant? I'm not clear on that.
Well, if we're mainly going to charge our lowest rate to our 2 MOAs. That way, we have some employees that we loan out to other school districts, and KDE pays their salary. No other costs come out of it, and it allows us to recoup those payroll functions, HR functions. No other grants in the past have been charged, but if any of them have excess funds, we have several administrators here who oversee different grants, and it would allow some of their salaries to be recouped for that kind of thing. So, I mean, the lesser rate would be if they had, $200 or $300 left in their grant, that would be, go to pay the audit fee because they're audited with us, that kind of thing. But no, we don't assign every grant indirect cost.
So are we approving just to agree to charge indirect costs, or do we have to pick out one of the three methods?
No, you're just recognizing the rates that the state gave us, and we can charge it if we feel
Okay.
circumstances arise.
Any other questions for Ms. Amos? If not, a motion is in order to approve the indirect cost rate for 2014. And that cost rate is $11.47 for non-restricted, or $11.47 for non-restricted rate, $1.96 for restricted rate.
I make a motion to approve indirect cost rate for 2014. $11.47 for unrestricted,
Non-restricted.
Non-restricted.
and then $1.96 the other one.
Motion by Mr. McGowan,
I'll second it.
second by Dr. Griffith. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Amos. Next item is number 11, consider approval of memorandum of agreement between George Rogers Clark High School and Eastern Kentucky University for dual credit. Mr. Boland.
Yeah, what you have is an agreement, a simple agreement between EKU and GRC. I guess if you call it, got the cart before the horse, but basically it's just an operating agreement. It has no monetary amount tied to it. The kids that participate in the EKU Now program, if they have the 21 method composites, they get one class free and have an option to pay for a second one at a reduced rate, or if they have the 24 in the composites, they get 2 classes free per semester. I think we only have one kid, I think, if memory serves me correct, that's actually paying, I think it's about $100 an hour, but they're paying for that second class. But the rest of them are all taking classes free. I think we have 20, right at close to 30 that's going on campus. We have two kids who stay on campus but who are taking classes online as well, benefiting from it online. And I meant to tell you earlier when I came up here, currently we have 100 and not EKU Now, but with dual credit through either Murray State or BCTC, we currently have 126 students taking dual credit through those institutions.
For the EKU dual credit, you may not know the answer to this, I'm sorry, I apologize for putting you on the spot, but the EKU credit students that are going actually to campus to take class, I think actually been admitted to the university?
Yes.
Okay, so they're in, they want to continue, all right.
Yeah, it's actually it's a win-win for our kids, but it's also a win-win for EKU because if you get them on campus, they're probably going to land them.
Well, they get that credit and they get the grade.
But the opportunities there, do kids really realize? I mean, are some of these juniors?
We have I think out of the 33 or 34 kids, there are about 5 of them that are juniors.
Wow. Getting 4 semesters, opportunity for 4 semesters, 2 classes a semester.
They also have the option if something happened and some of the kids that did not take, you can't get more than 4 classes in a physical calendar year. But if something happened, they only took 1 this semester, then they could actually go to summer school at campus and get that other class too. So, we met with them last week. They were on campus and really the door is open. As many kids, they'll take as many as that want to come to meet the qualifications. So.
Any other questions for Mr. Boland? If not, motion is in order to approve the memorandum of agreement as presented between GRC High School, Clark County School System, and Eastern Kentucky University for dual credit.
I move that we approve the memorandum of agreement between George Rogers Clark High School and Eastern Kentucky University for dual credit as presented.
Motion by Ms. Hicks.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. McGowan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item is item number 12. Consider approval of the aviation program at Clark County Area Technology Center in the amount of $25,000. Mr. Kinder.
Let me first say I'm going to wing this, no pun intended, but Dr. Ken Smith was supposed to be here tonight, and he's actually held up down in Corbin where they have an aviation program down there. And he's kind of spearheading this whole initiative. And Kentucky right now is leading the nation in their aviation programs. We would be, if approved, we're one of about 24 schools right now in Kentucky that would be offering this program. Probably the closest one to us right now is Round County. I've been up there and have looked at that program, and our ATC in Corbin is one that's
running the program down there. I have looked at the IOPs, and we've got right now somewhere between approximately 30 kids interested in just being an airline pilot. We have other students somewhere in the area, about 50 kids that are interested in helicopter pilot, aircraft maintenance, aerospace engineering, different things like that. Obviously, this program will be heavily embedded with math and science, and we would be offering the ground school right now during I-time, and hopefully we'll turn that into a regular program at the school. And then the kids would actually get their flight time at the Mount Sterling Airport. We have an agreement with them. I've got a pretty good relationship with them from years past. We actually, when I was principal of Montgomery County, we built an airplane up there, built a Super Cub. That took about 3 years to complete, and we actually had one of those students that's graduating in the spring from Emory-Ripley. So we had some success there. If you look right now also, I just saw the other day where an airline pilot is the #1 paying occupation right now that does not require a college degree, and the average pay there was about $115,000. And obviously with the baby boomers all retiring, there's a huge need. And I will tell you also too that when we built the airplane in Mount Sterling, it really became a community project, and I see this being the same thing. I've already had a lot of adults approaching me. My next door neighbor is a police officer, but he flies for American Airlines. We've got another person in the neighborhood that flies. One of Codell's former pilots, he approached me the other day, and all these gentlemen want to help. And that's what it kind of becomes. I don't know, it just becomes a community thing that I think, adults would at some point want to be involved in getting the certification in this. And this also would also count, the ground school will count as an industry certification, which would count towards college career readiness. So, but I'll tell you, I talked to Dr. Smith on the phone. He'd be willing to come back and talk to you, maybe give you a little more information. You have some things up here on some of the career pathways right now that are being offered, and I have also now added 2 more. I know one of them is air traffic control. So I know that's one. But that gives you a little bit of information about it. Some of the actual flight time will be covered through a grant that Dr. Smith has got. They can get up to, I think, $1,000 or so of the flight time actually covered for free. They also have a camp that they can go into in the summer where they can get another $800 or $900 covered. So they're working extremely hard to get this, and like I said, I think there's a huge need for it. But, it's like I told the kids, this is all applied learning. You better know what you're doing, or there's some major consequences that'll happen if you don't. So, so that right now, we've already kind of started it with our time. We've got about 15 students right now, I think, enrolled in it right now.
So who's running the...
My automotive teacher is Kyle Ford. He's a pilot and stuff, so he can teach the ground school.
Now, you said that you would use I-time in the future. Would it be like the Tuesday or Thursday, they'd get on a bus and go?
Well, hopefully they're not getting on a bus. You mean...
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
Very technology.
Yes, and the school looks wonderful, by the way, too, by the way. So it looks good. But no, they'll be right there. But eventually what I like to do, I like to take it out of I-time and have those a regular program.
Right.
Because I think, if you look at the different things, and the Project Lead the Way, they have an aerospace, Project Lead the Way, which is, a huge push right now, too, and a lot of these different areas are covered through that.
So if it becomes a separate program from I-time, where it's not just a special interest non-credit, how does the teacher instructor work? Does your automotive person still do that? Do you have to have a certification?
It could be a possibility. Like I said, if you go through the Project Lead the Way, it could be a separate program entirely.
Okay, would that involve more than the $25,000 funding that you're requesting?
Well, the training would. This is the money is actually going for the simulators and the books and all that type of stuff. I'm not sure what all the Project Lead the Way things include. I know obviously there's training and probably some more software. Actually, if there is, Dr. Smith told me there's like $10,000 worth of free software that goes with the Project Lead the Way program that you wouldn't have to purchase otherwise. So, but like I said, I wish he was here. He could give you a little bit more background on that than what I can. But like I said, he got held up, and so he's going to bring you some more information. But
The camp, is that in Western Kentucky?
It's Frankfurt, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And I think we even had, and I'm not sure what it was, but I think we had some teachers from here went down to Huntsville for the space program this summer too.
Right. And then, the Project Leads the Way Aerospace Engineering, is that through Moorhead, and with their connections there?
I'll be honest with you, I don't know if it's through Moorhead or if it's through UK. I'm not real sure.
Okay.
Taylor County, there was a huge article in today's KSBA highlights on the Taylor County Aviation Program, and how, when you mentioned the community part,
Yes.
they just had a tremendous amount of community involvement. You know, they have kids who are going to work on building the airplane from 3:30 to 5:30 every day, and people from the community are coming in to observe or to help. It just seemed
I mean, it was amazing, man. So when we built that plane, I mean, Randy Mann that owns Mann's Auto, I mean, he flies more than he sells cars, I think. But I mean, he was a part of it. I mean, we had people come from Ohio that showed them how to cover the plane and do things. I mean, it was just amazing the number of adults that got involved with that. I mean, it surprised me. But I mean, you had people from the airport community coming in and looking at it every day. When they had their air show up there, which happened a couple of weeks ago, I was up there for that, and we took some people to see the plane and stuff. But I mean, it was an amazing part. But it's one of the things that's big, that they do a wing design where the kids actually design the wings. They go and compete and have to. I think it has to do with load and all this other kind of stuff, how long it'll fly, how efficient it is, how much load it'll carry. There's really a lot to it. But like I said, it's, and I think it's what the kids are wanting right now. Like I said, you're getting a lot of math and science, but it's applied. Everything that they're going to learn in theory, they're going to put into practice at some point. So.
Any other questions for Mr. Kendrick? All right, not, a motion is in order to approve the aviation program at Clark County Area Technology Center in the amount of $25,000.
Well, I'll make the motion to approve the aviation program at Clark County Area Technology Center in the amount of $25,000.
Second. Dr. Griffin, second by Ms. Ritchie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Actually, I second.
She did.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She beat me.
So noted. Okay, next item is item number 13, consider approval of second reading of policies 03.1321 and 03.2321. Mr. Christie.
This is the policy that we pulled out that you asked me to check on. It was the use of school property. The question, I think, at the time was using the school property to make repairs on vehicles, tractors, and those kinds of things. I did go back, check. This is a common practice, and that's what this one had to do with. It is not. It does state they're only to be used for school activities, and they're not to be running the garage or something out of it, but it is for school activities. And the second one is, 51 is for the certified, and 2321 is the classified.
Any other questions for Mr. Christie? Or discussion? If not, motion is in order to approve the second reading of policies 03.1321 and 03.2321.
Make a motion to approve second reading of policies 03.1321 and 03.2321.
Motion by Mr. McGowan.
Second.
Second by Ms. Ritchie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item number 14, consider approval of electronic sign at GRC High School.
I'm going to ask if I can call Earl and Ray Vasky up, please. I think they've got some more information for you on that.
Yeah, when what we're looking for this evening, I guess, is board kind of directive. We had put together kind of a PowerPoint back in July. We got some information together. We were looking at a couple different locations where you might want to sign. We really kind of wanted to look at doing this as the ATC is still under construction. We could do this kind of as a change if we want to on that project. Or some school districts have moved just completely remote from the contractor that's on site. Just have something done at a later date. So we have some rough ends out there that we could utilize, or we were looking at what we could do to go ahead and put a sign together. So if you still kind of have your old packets, we're just looking for general information. We had talked about trying to have both a monument sign, if you want to go ahead and click
here are like the two locations as you come into the entry drive. Location A is kind of along that bank and up toward the property line with the church. The idea of having more what I would call a pole sign at that location. And location B was as you came in, if you wanted to have something that would just be kind of on campus and more of a lower monument sign. So we looked at, again, there for the first location, a sign that could have, you know, the George Rogers Clark High School. The reader board is like possible to do that like all in a red light or in a full-blown multicolored LED. We looked at that kind of a sign, or we talked about going ahead and putting a base and kind of going ahead and having an option, next slide, to go ahead and have the next location. And then we also talked about having the ATC, if we want to incorporate the ATC in that same sign type thing. So you have kind of the option of the reader at the top, reader in the middle, and then the next one, we started kind of showing, kind of photoshopped in where that would look like sitting back from the right-of-way as you're approaching, you know, from town going south on 627, what that would look like. So people would actually have an opportunity to see any kind of upcoming events as they're traveling along the highway. If you don't do that, we looked at the next option was like something that would be at that location B, something low, little less expensive, little smaller sign. I think the danger there from our perspective is if you come in, I mean, you're not really reaching the public very well, and as you come in, you don't want somebody already like stopping and trying to read instead of, you know, paying attention to what direction they want to go for the parent drop-off or visitor parking, that type thing. And
Is that option B actually where the split is for the parent drop-off? Yeah.
right, it's kind of down, it's like, yeah, where you're coming in, you're having to make that left turn, and nobody's really going to see.
If our purpose is communication, I don't think that that's
I agree. I agree. And like I say, tonight, we weren't looking for a full-blown approval as much as a direction. I mean, we'd be willing to work with Mr. Bowen as far as principal, with Mr. Columbia, go ahead and pull together kind of, if you really wanted a reader function, you know, to be able to provide that communication, talk about upcoming events, you know, site-based council meetings, band competitions, athletic events, parent-teacher day, the whole, you know.
What's involved in keeping that updated? I mean, what's the time factor involved in listing all those events? Is that just a few seconds, or is that, because I see a lot of places where it's not up to date.
The difference in this one, probably what you're seeing here, is that's a computer generated, controlled from a computer, just pushing the keyboard back at the school to change it, whereas otherwise what you're seeing at those schools now, they have to physically go out, open it up, place letter by letter in there to put things on there, and that's why some of those things.
Well, I think I see even some of these, not necessarily in our district, but in some other places, that it's lagged behind, and it seems to be a computer-generated thing.
You're right, and then that just becomes somebody taking ownership, like you said, of having to update that, or at least turn off or have some default.
Right.
So that you're not.
When this date has passed, don't advertise
Right,
it
not displaying, right, not displaying old information that looks like you're out of touch versus just going back to a generic, you know, display that can be your default. And in fact, I think you can program those for different different events, and you can even cycle through a couple different things, you know, on the program, just like you would on a PowerPoint presentation or something like that. You can set it up to automatically change. So everybody can see.
Is it true that we can get advertising to help pay for the cost of the sign?
You know, I mean, some districts have explored that, or some districts actually have permanent advertisement as a part of the body of the sign, so it's always up there versus it being just a reader function that would happen from time to time. We've not typically explored that option, or we haven't to date looked at what that would be like in terms of the size of that, to have additional 3x4, 3x3, 3x6 panels that you would add to it and just get bigger and bigger, you know. So, right.
The other thing is, if you had a fully functional sign, though, you could program it so that you had advertising going on while things are not in session, and informational things while people are coming in and out of school. So, you've got a location on a very busy road, so.
I mean, it's kind of an extension of what you see happening in the gym at a basketball game and having local, kind of advertisement take place right there.
Yeah. Well, and, I'm on the Partners in Education thing. I'm thinking this might be something we could talk to our partners about.
And that's one of the nice things about the LED. It gives you that, again, additional opportunity to make those advertisements available and then come up with a price point or what that looks like, however you market or, promote that. I'm not sure how you sell that, so.
I could see something where a business would like to congratulate a student or teacher on achieving such and such, and that would be their way of,
That's kind of a sponsorship thing like that, yeah.
Discounts for
Well, I mean, not to take too much time, so if it sounds like something from a communication standpoint, it ought to be out near the right-of-way. And I think from a height standpoint, to get over the hillside, the fence there that's adjoining us with then having the taller sign. Let me ask, are you interested in having both, I think, the, George Rogers Park and the Area Technology Center kind of highlighted or featured? Because we would look at that and figure out how we would advertise both on that pole sign type thing. Is that appropriate? I mean,
I guess that's a question.
Once the ATC is completed, it's all one complex.
Right.
Do we want the distinction, or is it just,
yeah, I don't know.
is it part of it?
Right.
I almost think that it's all one thing once all that gets done.
Because I will tell you that, normally, and it probably will still yet to happen, seen the green informational signs on the highway that will usually have both, or, if they're not on the same campus, or if people don't know they're the same, or on the same campus. And most people would say, this Area Technology Center, it's on the campus with the high school, so just look for the high school sign, type thing. So that's tough for us, even as we looked at that, and so that's one of the things we were asking about how to move forward. Because it was about a $5,000 ad for the additional area to try to create that as a separate, Clark County Area Technology Center type thing, as far as their formal name for that. So we think we want the pole. We want it to be out near the highway. We can work with staff and try to get kind of a couple of final designs. And it's something that we would probably at least propose, or would then submit a proposal request to the contractor to get pricing, so we can look at getting that done before they're completely finished here with the ATC.
Now, that location doesn't create any blind spot for the church traffic, does it?
No.
Okay. No blind spots anywhere for anybody?
No, I don't think so. We'll double check that, but as they are using your driveway, they're going to have complete access, and we're far enough up and back off the right-of-way as they approach the highway. You've got plenty of line of sight.
I think the only real blind spot is when you're turning right out of GRC. The trees.
Yes. When does that get? That's not our right-of-way, though, right? The state has to control that.
District 7 highways.
Yeah.
You got to pay on those.
Oh, yeah. We have blinking school signs now on solar things. That's the way we reduce speed, so.
Get there.
Question, do you know how tall the stanchions for the traffic light are?
Those,
in terms of, I was looking at overall heights of these signs, and, one thing is, I think we have to be good neighbors. And I don't realize that we as a school board are not subject to any planning and zoning regulations. However, I do think we need to be good neighbors to the people who are currently neighbors across the street, like me. And also, if you look at the property directly across from that, is zoned to eventually be single family. So it's going to be single family residential at some point once the overall plan changes. So And, well, let's see, if I was complaining about a sign that was too bright and blinking in my bedroom window, and that becomes a subdivision, there'll be 500 people complaining about the sign blinking in my window, so.
I can double check and see if we can have where the sign could actually be turned off at midnight or go down to sleep mode or something.
The actual parking lot lights go down at 10 o'clock, so.
Right. Okay.
We control it. But in terms of height, I printed off the sign regulations, 21 pages. Our town is very particular about signs, but just to throw out, and this is just the overall intent of the regulation. A, does not unduly detract from the overall aesthetics of the community. B, reduce intrusions and protect property values. C, minimize undue distractions of the motoring public. D, protect and enhance the tourist industry by promoting a more harmonious and pleasing community image. E, generally enhance the strength of Winchester and Clark County's economic stability. So we can go on with something that will fit that. I think we will be in line with the rest of the
Okay, we'll take all that into consideration.
So does this sign have to be approved by our planning and zoning people? I mean, we need, how do we?
Checking on that before if we progress.
That's kind of a yes and no. I think that yes, as a good neighbor, like, Dr. Kudek has mentioned, it's a smart to keep them in the loop. The no is the fact that as a school entity, you're not subject to all of the local regulations that otherwise would be in place for others. But we've tried to honor all that as we've done the project, so yeah.
Planning and zoning is kind of collaterally in the loop right now.
Right.
Me being here.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Well, welcome, planning and zoning, and we'll be in touch. Okay. Thank you.
Next item is item number 15, consider approval of new job description for food service assistant manager in the cafeteria. Ms. Fowler.
Hello. Tonight I come to you with requesting your approval for the attached job description titled Cafeteria Assistant Manager. And as you can see, there's the job description. I'm not going to read it to you. I think most of y'all have probably already looked this over and know what the duties that would be assigned entail.
Can you go over the rationale for everything?
Yes, sure. I sure will. And I don't want to read it to you, but it is kind of long. It's a long rationale, so I will go over it for the public. During the first month of GRC cafeteria service, we had 14 days where we served the first month of August. We count our months in August, as months, 1st to the 30th or 31st. 14 days of school where we served meals. And at GRC, during that time, we served 14,300 student lunches, 2,706 student breakfasts, 151 adult meals. We sold 20,191 pieces of a la carte or extra food in 14 days. And that's astronomical. $580 in vending. And if you walk into the new cafeteria at the high school, you'll see those water vending machines. That's what this is referring to. And our staff at GRC is responsible for stocking that vending. So that's what that refers to, okay? Let's see. Along with serving the staff and the students for GRC, the cafeteria staff also in this time, for the month of August, had 9 catering events. And those are events that can occur in the school or out in the public if the public does request a catering. But some of these are for, breakfast if there's been meetings in the school, lunches if there's been meetings, open houses, where Mr. Bowen requested that we have catering for the open houses for the new school. Those kind of things go on throughout the school year. And the staff at the school does take care of that school catering. Okay? The new GRC kitchen and cafeteria is a state-of-the-art facility, and with all the most up-to-date equipment to ensure that our students and staff do get good quality meals every day. The high school lunch schedule this year has the cafeteria staff serving all the students and staff in 4 lunch periods. And they each consist of about 450 to 470, is that right, students per session or in those 4 lunch sessions. In the past, in the old GRC, that was divided up in the past few years between 10 or 11 lunch periods. And in that cafeteria, I think it held about 350. Am I right? Okay. It held about 350 as far as its seating capacity. So you can see the differences in how they are working really hard to get the children in there and get them fed in a timely manner. This kind of thing does put a significant strain on the production and the staff scheduling, which requires daily managerial attention. The job description for the assistant manager position is attached and covers the areas that the position would be responsible for overseeing. In addition, the health department regulation does require that all cafeterias have a backup person in charge when the manager is out. This backup person must be trained, and they go to a training, a manager's course training with the health department, and it's good for 3 years. So every 3 years that has to be updated, and they go back for a day-long training. In a large school with more cafeteria staff, there are always more personnel issues to deal with. If the manager is out, the assistant manager would be in charge, allowing for a smooth operation, and daily issues with staff or production will be handled as they arise, not having to wait for when the manager comes back. The past 2 years, the school nutrition food service business has changed drastically. We have been faced with new regulations, as many of y'all have seen in the news, and new food pattern requirements, nutrition, calories. Everything has to be monitored strictly with the new meal patterns. This puts a lot of strain and extra work on the managers and the staff to make sure that they are meeting these regulations. The assistant manager would also be responsible to help the manager in all of the areas that may be needed as needed or as assigned. The assistant manager position would also be a great way, I think, to train those in that position for future manager positions, to give them some more on-the-job training for what holds in the future if they decide to go for a manager position in the future. Another thing about food service is that the position is strictly funded by food service. It's not from the general fund, so just kind of want to make everybody aware of that. The food service fund is strictly self-sufficient, meaning any funds that are made through catering or a la carte sales is required by federal law to go back into the operation of the program. And so these funds are not generated and used for other things. They have to go back into the operation, purchasing new equipment, repairs, staffing. That's what the funds are used for. So that's basically my rationale.
I have a question. If the students didn't buy all the a la carte items, would this be a financial problem, or?
The funding of the position?
Yeah.
Well, right now, we're financially stable.
Mm-hmm.
A la carte funds do have a part in that, and they have a part, when we look at our staffing, it's quite different than what you all are used to seeing in your school allocations. When food service does staffing, what we do is we have to look at 3 things. We look at student participation for breakfast, student participation for lunch, and a la carte and other sales, which means adult sales, catering, any other monies that are brought into the operation. Those things are looked at by day, and then we get a formula that shows us you've brought in this many meal equivalents, so this is how many hours in staffing you can have. That's how our staffing is looked at. And we have to follow that formula, and we usually do that 2 times a year. And when we have reviews, KDE looks at that staffing. So it is, it is a part of it.
The job description that is presented is somewhat generic, so
Yes.
this would cover other assistant manager positions that would be added to other schools in the future.
Yes, this was not a specific to the high school job description
But the request is just for the high school.
at this time.
Okay. Now, if additional assistant managers are added at other schools in the near or distant future, does that come back to the board for approval?
Yes.
Okay.
The hope is, just to sort of extend on what Ms. Hicks has said, is what I said in the rationale is that's not just true for the high school, this kind of thing. I mean, when you think about Sheeran, and when you think about some of the other larger schools, Stroke, 700, the new Justice, and then when we combine and have another school that's going to be large, our future in this district is looking at going toward larger schools. And when that happens, that's when you start coming into more staffing, more production. It's a whole lot different when you're preparing 200 meals than it is when you're preparing 700 or 800 or 1,200. It's a totally different process, and the future does hold that for us. It looks at this point anyway, to where that would be what we would be looking for in the future, is to get these positions for these folks who right now have to be the backup person anyway, because we're required by the health department to have a backup person, to get them in, making sure that they're trained and continue to get follow-up training and give them the compensation, really, that they deserve.
Any other questions for Ms. Lauer or discussion? If not, a motion is in order to approve the new job description for food service assistant manager.
Make a motion to approve new job description for food service assistant manager.
Motion by Mr. McGowan.
Second.
Second by Dr. Griffith. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Next item is item number 16, consider approval of 2013-2014 contract with Old South Ventures for the preschool weeks in the amount of $139,500.
You read it, so we're ready.
Could I add to that in the manila folder you have on your iLearn, it was a copy of the current contract. In the folder in front of you, you'll have a copy of the new contract with the numbers, the dates changed as it would read.
Okay. And no changes?
But it's basically, it's identical to the last year's contract except for the dates.
Okay.
And Ms. Hicks signed last year, so I know that it's probably accurate.
Okay. And the money is total for the year, right? $138,000 total. Okay.
That includes utilities.
Yes, I know.
And all areas that we...
And your question, I think we sent out that could be space available to us if we wanted to pursue that. We're not paying for that at this point, but if we could pursue that and use it as a cafeteria services. However, we've been currently set up and been provided the food through a satellite service each year, and this contract doesn't reflect any additional space that we would ask for at this point. At this point, we're not really asking for any additional space. Our plan is to continue as we're currently doing.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Columbia?
When can we not do this lease anymore?
Any other comments or discussion? If not, motion is in order to approve the 2013-2014 contract with Old South Ventures, the preschool lease in the amount of $139,500.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2013-14 contract with Old South Ventures for preschool lease in the amount of $139,500.
Motion by Dr. Griffith.
Second.
Second by Mr. McGowan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item is item number 17, pay application number 17 from Total Construction.
For construction services for the concrete renovation project in the amount of $425,908.12.
Any questions or discussion for Mr. Columbia? If not, motion is in order to approve pay application number 17.
Make a motion to approve pay application number 17, Total Electric Company.
Motion by Mr. McGowan.
Second.
Second by Ms. Ritchie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item is item number 18, pay application number 22 for Justice Elementary School.
Also from Codell Construction Company for services in the amount of $430,279.72.
I move that we pay application number 22 from Codell Construction Company for construction services for the new Lowell St. Justice Elementary School project in the amount of $430,279.72.
Motion by Ms. Hicks,
Second.
second by Ms. Ritchie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item is item number 19, application number 28 for Codell Construction for resident observer services.
That's in the usual amount of $9,375, and also you saw in your board transmittal that this is also for the extension through December 31st, and it was budgeted in the Phase 1 and Phase 2.
Do we need to approve the extension part, or because we already talked about it before, we're just doing it each month?
The extension part is figured in as part of the BG1 at the same price that we've been currently paying, and it's now calculated into the BG1 for the area tech or for the high school project, which includes the area tech through the end of December. At the same rate. Anything past December would take additional contracting and additional line out of funding.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve pay application number 28 from Codell for resident observer services in the amount of $9,375.
Okay, motion by Dr. Griffith,
Second.
second by Mr. McGowan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item is item number 20, application number 34.
It's from the general contractor D.W. Wilburn for the new GRC project in the amount of $50,406.53.
Questions, Mr. Columbia? None, motion is in order to approve pay application number 34.
Make a motion to approve pay application number 34.
Motion by Mr. McGowan,
Second.
second by Ms. Ritchie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item number 21, pay application number 13 from D.W. Wilburn for the Air Technology Center project.
And this amount is $358,929.
I move that we pay application number 13 from D.W. Wilburn for the Phase 2 Clark County Area Technology Center project in the amount of $358,929.
Motion by Ms. Hicks,
Second.
second by Ms. Ritchie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item is number 22, change order 18-3.
With Fayette Electrical for the Clark Elementary School project for credit in the amount of $44,575.
Can you explain a little bit on the change orders?
They ended up not performing as much work as they thought they were going to in the original bid, so let's get quite a bit back. So it's a good shot there.
We like that.
Some of the allowances, KUs, things that the cost of KU
Right.
is not going on.
Time Warner Cable and AT&T. I make a motion that we approve Codell change order number 18-3 for the amount of $44,575.
Motion by Dr. Griffith,
Second.
second by Mr. McGowan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item is Codell change order 20-3.
With Finney Company for the Clark Elementary School project in the amount of $1,027.
And what was the reason for that change order?
The change from the heat pump supply lines from steel to HDPE was a credit of $10,438, and then WMU requirement to repair existing manhole for sanitary sewer line tie-in was $11,465, which gave us a amount of $1,027 extra.
Is that the manhole that we had already done something to?
I think that was discussed previously. I remember
We discussed that.
I guess I just got deja vu when I read that one.
Yeah.
I know, and the diagrams look the same.
Yeah. So before, did we just discuss it and now we're actually approving pay for it?
I'm thinking that maybe we approved it.
I think we
But
approved
then
payment
this-
for it because we were kind of grumbling about the whole
Yes,
thing. so-
yes, and this is a change order from the difference in the cost.
Right.
I believe, is that,
I
I
will,
believe that,
I'll work with
that's
Tom,
what
we'll
the,
double check, but I think that's
yeah,
correct.
but I
that
think
we approved it
Right.
for the work, the cost associated. This is the actual change order that comes through, and we'll double check that.
Any other questions for Mr. Columbia? If not, a motion is in order to approve change order 20-3.
I'll make a motion to approve 20-3.
Motion by Ms. Ritchie,
I'll second it.
second by Dr. Fritz. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item is change order number 11 for the Area Technology Center.
For the Phase 2, for modifications and additions to the interior finishes for a credit amount of $2,135.60.
I move that we approve change order number 11 for Phase 2, Clark County Area Technology Center project for modifications and addition to the interior finishes for a credit amount of $2,135.60.
Motion by Ms. Hicks,
I'll second.
second by Mr. McGinn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item is item number 25, consider approval of PPOC 0746-02-35-01.
That's to delete the 4 finished upgrades to the Welding Technology Lab 3007, Student Tool Room 3007A, and Grinding Room 3007B, for proposal request number 12, for credit to the DPO mentioned in the amount of $11,500.
What was the rationale for that?
The floor that we talked about having beforehand, we're afraid it's going to be damaged by the welding, the sparks, and all that flying, so we thought it would be better if we would go with a different flooring, which gave us a credit.
I make a motion to approve the DPO change order number 0746-02-35-01 for a credit in the amount of $11,500.
Motion by Dr. Griffith,
I'll second.
second by Mr. McGowan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item is item number 26, approval of change order number 12 for the Area Technology Center project.
This is for additional concrete sidewalk adjacent to the Phase 1 project, the Ag Mechanics Shop Yard, and Automotive Tech Lab 3009 per the proposal request number 11 in the amount of $11,436, so that cancels out the credit we just got beforehand. So that's an area where we're going to park the ag bus, and also it's a dark area with shade. It would be hard to grow grass or really take care of any landscaping there.
Yeah.
I still can't tell, even when I look at the diagram, I don't know where this is.
Back at the ag shop where the big ag doors are, it's back in there. The alcove goes back in there where you enter into the area tech beyond the end of the right section itself. And it's very shaded. We don't even have a good stand of weeds in there right now.
If no other questions for Mr. Columbia, a motion is in order to approve change order number 12.
I move that we approve change order number 12 of Phase 2 Clark County Area Technology Center project for additional concrete sidewalk adjacent to the Phase 1 project, Ag Mechanic Shop Yard area, and the Automotive Technology Lab 3009 per the proposal request number 11 in the amount of $11,436.
Motion by Ms. Hicks,
Second.
second by Dr. Griffith. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next is consent agenda. Does anyone have any items which they would wish to consider separately from the body of the consent agenda?
No internal board business? No internal board business? Sure.
Okay. If not, a motion is in order to approve the following consent agenda items. Item number 27, consider approval to send one migrant program representative to the National Conference in Tampa, Florida on October 1 through 3, 2013, in the amount of $1,000. Item number 28, consider approval of GRC Boys Golf Trip to Bowling Green, Kentucky, to participate in the Boys State Golf Tournament, October 6 through 10, 2013. Item number 29, consider approval of GRC Girls Golf Trip to Bowling Green, Kentucky, to participate in the Girls State Golf Tournament, October 9 through 11, 2013. Item 30, consider approval of Conkright 7th grade trip to Harveysburg, Ohio, to attend Renaissance Fair, September 28, 2013. Item number 31, consider approval of Conkright 8th grade trip to Washington, D.C. for better historical understanding, March 20th through 23rd, 2014. Item number 32, consider approval of GRC band trip to Nashville, Murfreesboro, Tennessee, participates 2013 Contest of Champions Marching Band Final Evaluation, October 25th through 26th, 2013. Consider approval of fundraiser requests as detailed. Consider approval to surplus bus number 56, VIN number BPNNXPH505872. Consider approval of BG4, closeout document for the direct purchase order DPO 0746-26 for New Tech Systems for the Phase 1 GRC High School project. Consider approval of BG4 closeout document for direct purchase order DPO 0746-30 for Overhead Door Company, DBA Wayne Dalton of Central Kentucky for the Phase 1 GRC High School project. Consider approval of BG4 closeout document for direct purchase order 0746-40 for Semco for the Phase 1 GRC High School project. Consider approval of the BG4 closeout document for direct purchase order DPO 0746-0203 for Blackmore and Glunt for the Phase 2 Clark County Area Technology Center project. Consider approval of BG4 closeout document for direct purchase order DPO 0746-02-17 for Lead Brick and Block for the Phase 2 Clark County Area Technology Center project. Consider approval of the BG4 closeout document for direct purchase order 0746-02-20 for MMI of Kentucky for the Phase 2 Clark County Area Technology project. Approval of employee leaves of absence, acknowledge the notice of the personnel action report, acknowledge the cash position report, acknowledge Clark County motor vehicle tax report, acknowledge the Clark County Sheriff's report, acknowledge monthly financial report, acknowledge the general fund budget summary report. Motion is in order to approve these items.
Make a motion to approve those items.
Motion by Ms. McGowan,
Second.
second by Dr. Griffith. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Motion is in order to
Mr.
authorize...
Chairman, I need to recuse myself from number 48 on
Okay.
voting off the salaries and accounts payable.
Okay. Motion is in order to authorize payment of salaries and accounts payable with Ms. Hicks recused.
Make a motion to authorize payment of salaries accounts payable.
Motion by Mr. McGowan,
Second.
second by Ms. Ritchie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Ms. Hicks recused. Motion is in order to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. McGowan,
Second.
second by Ms. Ritchie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We'll adjourn at 8:35.
That's what I was asking.
That's signing.
Half hour today, it's just for
Just for your review.
Yeah, we can just keep it.